We're going to be learning about AWS Innovation. So let me share my screen and then we can begin. Alright, let's begin. This is AWS Innovation. So first, let's discuss design thinking. What is design thinking? It is known as a method that is mainly used for the purpose of comprehending people, questions, problems, and solutions. The design thinking method is used to turn ideas into physical and evaluatable products as soon as possible. The design thinking framework is used through three strategies, which are immersion, ideation, and implementation. So here are the 5 stages of the design thinking process. The 5 stages are not always followed in a specific order. They often occur at the same time and repeat numerous times. These are empathize, define, ideate, prototype, and test. So empathize is when you discover your target audience and you learn more about the audience, such as their problems and necessities. Define is where you determine a problem statement by focusing on the user's needs, and the problem statement that you determined is usually used as a guiding tool. Ideate. Collaborate with others with different areas of expertise, and in this case you want quantity over quality. Prototype. The goal is to create a product that can be evaluated and critiqued, which will be your prototype. And test. Users will provide feedback that will determine if your solution is viable, testing your solution, and this helps save money in the long term. So the Cloud Innovation Center. This creates a chance for nonprofit institutions, education services, and government departments to work with other public sector companies. The Cloud Innovation Center helps collaborate on issues of high importance, and you can help test issues using Amazon's innovation process. The Cloud Innovation Center allows you to harness the technology of AWS, and any nonprofit institutions, education services, and government departments are allowed to register to work on an assignment. So what is a culture of innovation? Amazon aims to be the world's most customer-centric organization, and they do this to 4 main customer sets: consumers, sellers, enterprises, and content creators. So the following are characteristics of an innovative culture, as defined by Amazon: hiring builders, failing fast, working backwards, and 2 pizza teams. So hiring builders is when a company hires builders with different backgrounds and points of view in order to make decisions. Failing fast is being open to trying many possibilities and being accepting of failure. Working backwards is constantly driving forward using customer-centric, ingenious thinking, and it is used to make sure that the product is what the customer actually needs. 2 pizza teams is something when referring to hiring efficient workers in order to minimize communication and unnecessary meetings. The reason it is called 2 pizza teams is because an innovation team should require no more than 2 pizzas to feed them, as they are a small yet efficient team. So the formula for innovation is innovation equals culture plus people plus tools and mechanisms. So here is a video that will be linked below about the design thinking. Alright, so let's continue with the 5 W's of innovation at Amazon. So first we have, what is innovation? Innovation is the successful integration of new thoughts into society. Where does innovation take place? Innovation can take place everywhere. It can range from inventing something to improving it. Who innovates? Everyone. Innovation is the way one goes about their work. When does one innovate? Every day. It occurs because of ongoing events and unexpected circumstances. Why innovate? Because everything depends on it. Innovation creates new opportunities to serve customers. So here are some models of innovation. You have continuous development and discontinuous development. There are numerous models, each with their pros and cons, and a way to categorize them is by separating it across a continuum of continuous and discontinuous. So, continuous models are innovation that is described as incremental, evolutionary, and reactive. They're more linear type changes for constant increase over time. As you can see in the diagram, it's a more linear, straight line increasing at a constant rate. Discontinuous development, however, is innovation that is disruptive, revolutionary, and transformative. As seen by the bar graph on the right, there are nonlinear, abrupt changes in this form of development. So, the innovation process. The most common process to uphold innovation is known as working backwards. This depends on working deliberately according to the goal and sharing thoughts. It's constantly injecting innovation into independent and teamwork by working backwards from the customer. This is meaning to constantly come back to the customer's ideas for solving any problems that may arise. And the work will be repetitive and continually re-evaluating the problem at hand, going back to the customer's ideas. Next, let's discuss working intentionally. So work should be both intentful and determined, and this siphons AWS's customer obsession into solving a certain conflict. So organizations work specifically to make sure that their business decisions are orderly and managed. Then teams will work purposefully together. Individual workers take the lead and ownership of their own efforts in order to optimize innovation. The starting place for working intentionally include the vision and the mental models. So the vision is an idea of how certain things could be contrasting to how they currently are. This contradicts conventional wisdom, and being rigid on the vision is needed but relaxed on the specifics. The mental models are basic ideas that act as the base for generating more ideas. This helps raise ideas from the ground and provide them with superior direction. This is also formed as a statement of cause and effect and helps create new ideas. So the three phases of a simplified innovation process are conception, implementation, and marketing, as seen in the diagram. Next, let's discuss working backwards. This is made up of the 5 customer questions that you continuously come back to. These are: who is the customer? What is the customer's problem or opportunity? What is the most important customer benefit from the product? How do you know what the customer wants or needs? And what does the customer experience look like? The objective of all of these questions is to maintain the customer's importance and keep them involved throughout the innovation process. Here is a video discussing the innovation process that will also be linked below. So next, let's discuss working iteratively. So the innovation process becomes iterative, especially during the execution phase. Many ideas never get past the initial analysis phase, and when this happens, it's called analysis paralysis. So execution is when an organization chooses to commit to an idea. As a result, they'll eventually end up hiring a leader and a committed team to execute the idea. Successful execution leads to experimentation, which is the heart of success. However, the research that takes place must be limited to answering specific questions related to serving customers. There are 2 types of decisions: one-way door decisions and two-way door decisions. One-way doors are decisions that are difficult to return to once they have been made. However, two-way door decisions are reversible, and you can go both ways. They are made quickly by superior groups and high-level individuals, as they can be remade if necessary. So where do ideas come from? Here are a couple of places: expertise and a beginner's mind, irrational optimism and grit, listening and imaging, and history and science fiction. So expertise and a beginner's mind is opening a mind that influences future perspective and helps new ideas emerge. This prevents any personal bias, assumptions, and limitations from getting in the way. Irrational optimism and grit are ideas that are not commonly accepted, but they should not be neglected. Resilience is extremely important as it helps one make their good idea a reality, and being misunderstood is not always a negative. Listening and imaging. So, ideas come from visualizing a customer's idea before they can do so themselves. To do this, you need to get to know your customer. You gotta put yourself in their shoes. A great amount of AWS's ideas came from listening to their customers. History and science fiction is another source of inspiration. Ideas come from a combination of failure and success, and ideas can also be inspired from external sources. What is a PRFAQ? PRFAQ stands for Press Release and Frequently Asked Question. A press release is a one-page narrative that describes AWS's vision using customer-centric language. A press release, or PR, is used to envision how the customer will react to the product. It helps sort through ideas and ensure that these ideas are worthy of future investment. So, what are the elements of a PR FAQ? It is a skill that takes practice to master, and it is known as a crafting process due to the draft and edit system that is used when making it. The goal is to share the plan early for feedback from superiors. FAQs are developed to answer questions that a customer may have. There are two types of FAQs, or frequently asked questions: customers FAQs or stakeholder FAQs. Imagining you are the customer and writing questions and answers a real customer would have is a customer FAQ. A stakeholder FAQ is when questions your superiors or partners may ask. It is crucial to identify any difficult questions early on when working backwards, and then incorporate these as both customer and stakeholder FAQs later on in the innovation process. So, what is a visual? A visual allows one to explore the customer experience. It is used to show how the customers will use the product and how they want to use it. As the project matures, the visual can become more and more detailed. Visual presentation is how pictures, images, and diagrams work together to express ideas. Visual presentation maximizes the effectiveness of any presentation. Here is a video discussing working backwards that will also be linked below. Alright, so we were previously discussing visuals, so here's an example of a visual. You may pause the video in order to read it, but this visual simply goes over how it enhances the text. Alright, so next let's discuss the Amazon leadership principles. This has been incorporated in Amazon since 2002, and it explains how Amazon conducts their business. It explains how leaders manage, and it explains how decisions are formed for customers. So here are the 17 leadership principles. We're going to be discussing each, and all of them work together for optimal leadership. Alright, so first, customer obsession and ownership. Customer obsession. This is when leaders begin work with consumers and then they work backwards. They work diligently to maintain customers' trust and focus on customers while keeping competition under a close eye as well. In order to do this, leaders must be able to have humility and empathy. Ownership. Leaders are owners. They plan for the future and do not sacrifice the future for any immediate gain. They represent the entire company, so that's why they have to take the initiative to help out. Skills required for this include persistence and integrity. As a quote from Jeff Bezos, the number one thing that has made us successful by far is obsessive compulsive focus on the customer. The next two principles are invent and simplify, as well as are right a lot. Invent and simplify. Workers are required to provide innovation and invention to their work. Therefore, leaders have to always work to simplify matters. They constantly search for new and innovative ideas from their workers. The skills required for this include diligence, flexibility, and the ability to be misunderstood. Alright, a lot. Leaders have a good judgment and intuition. They look for different perspectives and they work to disprove beliefs. Skills required for this skill include humility and optimism. Here's a video discussing the leadership principles. Alright, let's finish up with the last remaining leadership principles. So learn and be curious, and hire and develop the best. Learn and be curious. Leaders are never satisfied, and they will always look to improve themselves. They must be curious about new opportunities. Skills needed include being able to learn and being conscientious or diligent. Hire and develop the best. Leaders acknowledge outstanding work and they willingly promote these outstanding workers. Leaders create other leaders and seriously consider their coaching and mentoring of other workers. Skills required in this include courage and investment. Next, leaders deliver results and insist on the highest standards. When delivering results, leaders key in on the main suggestions. Despite problems that may occur, leaders never settle and they always persevere. The skills required include commitment and deliverability. Leaders also insist on the highest standards among their workers. Leaders have incredibly high standards. They constantly look for more and more from their team, and they motivate their team to produce superb products. The skills required for this include exceptional and uncompromisable. Next, leaders have the ability to think big and bias for action. So leaders encourage broad thinking amongst workers. They also encourage ambition across the working place at all times, which requires innovation and optimism. Bias for action is something where speed is very important in business, and therefore calculated risk taking is a valuable skill. Leaders need to know when to make a risky decision and how it could pay off. So the skills required for this include risk taking and speed. Next, frugality and earning trust. Leaders must be frugal by maximizing spending efficiency. They have to have clever thinking as limits lead to resourcefulness. The skills required for this include creativity and adaptability. Furthermore, leaders have to earn the trust of their workers. Leaders must be able to listen, speak, and treat others respectfully. They know that their employees are not perfect, and yet they still trust them. Leaders must have the ability to be trusted, and they must be honest themselves. Next, diving deep and having a backbone. Leaders conduct business at all levels, and they're up to date on any and all details. They're expected to push through any problem that they may face, as no task is beneath them. The skills required for this are leaders having to be detail-oriented and being able to demystify any problem. Having a backbone and disagree and commit. Leaders can make tough decisions. They have to have a strong view and are ruthless when they need to be, which requires conviction and cohesion. Next, delivering results and trying to be the best employer possible. Leaders deliver results, and this is viewed by employees as a highly important principle. Leaders have to know when to rise to the occasion. They have to be able to deliver results for certain products and take responsibility for ideas that they have created for a product. Next, leaders have to try to be the best employer possible. They have to be a leader that has the objective of making their work environment a cooperative and safe place. Employees must be able to share their ideas with everyone respectfully, and employees must make sure that all employees are growing, empathized for, empowered, and ready for whatever may come next. Next, we have success and scope and great responsibility. The size of a company matters. This is because it gives them power over all consumers. Since Amazon is one of the largest companies on planet Earth, it empowers customers, gives power to the commander of the company, and helps the company expand beyond its current size. That is all we have for innovation. I hope you all enjoyed this session. As always, the videos that were shown will be linked below, and we'll see you next week. Thank you.